From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8.
Now the latest news.
Kylie Conway has the latest news. The top headlines. News you can use.
Please stand by.
Sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is the News 8 Daily 8 for Tuesday, June 8th. It's going to be another warm, muggy day with the possibility of pop-up showers, just kind of the very same that we've had yesterday and the day before. So if you made it through those days, you're going to be just fine today, too. Now, the Indianapolis City County Council voted to lift the mandate last night of mask wearing and to relax other COVID-19 restrictions as well. So there are no limits now on religious services. Bars and restaurants can open at 75% capacity. Attendance at indoor sporting events is bumped to 50% capacity. As far as things that don't change, people will still have to wear a mask at hospitals while using public transportation and at Indianapolis International Airport. The Marion County Health Department says it will recommend fully reopening after 50% of the county is vaccinated and there are fewer than 100 new cases a day. And according to the state's vaccine tracker, 43.9% of people who are 12 years and older are fully vaccinated in Marion County. According to the dashboard there on the state's website, 352,345 people are protected against the virus. That's out of 802,450 people who would be eligible to get that shot. Similar to the start of masks being required, the option to not wear one also appears to be split. Some people tell us their decision to continue wearing a mask is because they know that everyone won't get the vaccine. We spoke to people who say wearing a face covering serves as protection from getting the virus, even after getting the COVID shot. Others believe that now that the Marion County mandate has been lifted, they don't think any business should keep mask requirements in place. We heard some people say that wearing a mask has gone on long enough and they want things to go back to the way they were before the pandemic.
I want to protect myself. Everybody's not going to get the shot, so it's like putting myself back at risk just to, because they lifted. I don't agree with it.
After this mandate thing's over, my mask is a goner. It's going in the trash can to the dump.
According to a new survey from Gallup, Americans are getting out more, but cautiously. Less than a quarter of Americans, 22%, say they're practicing social distancing. 44% have avoided events with large crowds in the past week. The survey also finds that 40% of Americans have avoided traveling by airplane or public transportation. 26% have avoided small gatherings with family or friends, although 34% have avoided going to public places in general, like stores or restaurants. The survey says visits to grocery stores, restaurants, and pharmacies have jumped in May compared to April. One Indianapolis pediatrician has a message for parents considering getting their children the COVID-19 vaccine.
Not only is it a tool to keep them healthy and protect them, it also allows them to get back to their lives. And so allowing them to fully engage in all the activities that are so important to their health and development.
Dr. Suzanne Grannon works with Community Health Network. She's encouraging parents to talk with their kids about the shot. The latest numbers from the state health department show a decreasing number of new positive cases among students. 54 new cases were reported between April 26th and June 3rd. That's down from the peak number of reported cases, 725 in one day on November 9th. The department says more than 45% of the positive cases among students are people between the ages of 15 and 19. And the City County Council heard three different proposals at last night's meeting. One would allocate more than $3.3 million between IMPD, the Office of Public Health and Safety, and the Information Services Agency. This is all in an effort to curb violence. The other two dedicate more than $1 million to both the Marion County Sheriff's Office and the Marion Superior Courts. Some of the money for all three would also go toward coronavirus efforts. The Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee could consider all three at a meeting tomorrow night. And Indianapolis city leaders are pulling out of the national settlement over the opioid crisis. Indiana is expected to receive hundreds of millions of dollars. ITMate's Jasmine Miner reports the city's decision is not just about taking a risk to get more money.
None of us have a crystal ball. None of us can predict the future. But I think that's the considerations that these cities and counties are facing.
Richard Shevitz is an attorney with the firm representing Indianapolis in its own independent lawsuit against opioid companies. He claims that the expected $700 million coming to Indiana in the opioid settlement isn't all it seems.
Only 15% of that money will flow to the local communities.
He says ultimately that number is small compared to what the city could get on its own. Not to mention that money, unlike the state settlement, is under their control to decide how it's used.
We've encountered where jail populations have expanded. There have been stories where coroner's offices had to rent out temporary facilities just to house the bodies because they couldn't get to them in time and hire additional staff. So I think the value is getting the money into the hands of the local community and allowing them to make the tough decisions.
In 2020, 214 people died from opioid overdoses in Marion County. That's more than anywhere else in the state, according to the Indiana Department of Health. Indianapolis first filed its lawsuit in October of 2017, at the height of the opioid epidemic in the Midwest.
They all sought relief from pain and were instead administered addiction.
I reached out to the city, who said they can't comment on pending litigation. But Shevitz says we should expect more Indiana cities to opt out of the settlement over the next month.
Other cities and counties are looking at the same set of facts that we're looking at here in Indianapolis, the same dynamics, and are in the process of coming to the same conclusion that it makes sense for them to opt out.
Again, that was Jasmine Miner reporting. The state will be divided into regions and the money will be handed out per population. Cities and counties that opt out have 60 days to opt back in. A show of support for the family of one of the victims of the mass shooting at FedEx. The family of Samaria Blackwell received more than 500 police patches. It posted on social media that the department gave the patches to the family on Friday. Blackwell's family also received a scrapbook of letters and cards showing encouragement. Avon PD asked other agencies for shoulder patches after Blackwell's death. The 19-year-old is one of 8 people killed in that mass shooting. It happened in April. Her family says she dreamed of becoming a police officer. And 2 people accused of a road rage shooting that killed a 6-year-old boy in California are both set to appear in court today. According to the Orange County District Attorney, criminal charges will be filed this morning against Marcus Aries and Winnie Lee. California Highway Patrol say the 2 were arrested on Sunday at their home in Costa Mesa, southeast of L.A. According to the California Highway Patrol, officers recovered a gun and a vehicle they believe were both used in the shooting. The funeral for Aiden Leos, that 6-year-old boy, took place Saturday before a private burial ceremony yesterday. He was shot as he rode in the backseat of his mother's car on the way to school on May 21st. The White House is defending the president's upcoming face-to-face meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The National Security Advisor says the meeting will be vital in defending America's self-interests. The 2 leaders are set to talk in Geneva on Wednesday next week after Biden meets with NATO allies. The NATO Secretary General was with Biden at the White House. He spoke about the importance of talking with Russia.
Dialogue with Russia is not a sign of weakness. We are strong, we are united, and then we can talk to Russia, and we need to talk to Russia. Partly to strive for a better relationship, but even if we don't believe in a better relationship with Russia, we need to manage a difficult relationship with Russia.
The NATO secretary also called on NATO allies to face threats like Russia and China together. The CEO of Colonial Pipeline will testify about last month's cyber attack. The U.S. has recovered more than $2 million of the ransom paid to hackers in that attack. Britt Conway reports officials say preventing attacks comes down to confronting the problem from all angles.
Food, water, hospitals, education, transportation, gas. Ransom-demanding cyber hackers have been targeting the staples of American life.
It's happening all the time, even as we speak. There are thousands of attacks, and this is why the private sector and the public sector have to work together.
On the private side, the White House sent a letter to business leaders urging them to take ransomware crime seriously and ensure your corporate cyber defenses match the threat. But it won't be easy. There's the cost. Not to mention the need for company-wide coordination. Experts say the ransomware attack on the Colonial Pipeline began with a compromised password. On the public side, a push stateside and abroad. President Joe Biden signed an executive order last month requiring new software standards for the federal government, establishing a protocol for agencies and companies to share information with the government after a hack, and creating a new panel to review cybersecurity incidents. Cybersecurity will also be on the agenda when Biden heads to the UK at the end of this week for the G7 summit, and again next week when he meets with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Many of the attacks appear to be the work of criminal gangs on Russian soil. Clearly, there's no silver bullet here, and experts worry time isn't on our side.
Before long, we are worried that some people will get hurt.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
And today, a White House visit focused on migration at the southern border centers on Mexico. Vice President Kamala Harris is set to meet with that country's president. Yesterday, Harris met with the president of Guatemala. She announced the Biden administration's plans to cut down on the number of people fleeing the country for the U.S. She shared a stern warning for anyone thinking of migrating illegally.
I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border.
Harris says that the U.S. will create a task force to fight human trafficking and smuggling groups in Central America. And today, a hiring event locally to fill up 150 warehouse positions at the FedEx facility in Plainfield. According to the company, the full-time positions are for day and night shifts. To qualify for a job, you must be at least 18 years old and have a high school diploma. People looking to get hired should fill out an application online, then stop by the Courtyard by Marriott on Marketplace Mile in Plainfield for an interview. It runs from 9 to 5. Organizers say face coverings are required. 71% of businesses are finding it harder to hire compared to 5 years ago. That's according to a new report from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. The America Works report says the number of workers available to fill open jobs is falling. There are now 1.4 workers available for each open position nationwide. Over the last 20 years, that number has averaged 2.8 workers per job. Indiana has one of the lowest ratio of available workers to job openings in the country. According to the report, for every open position, there is one available worker in the state. And tonight, the Indy Fuel's playoff run begins. The team will face off against the Greenville Swamp Rabbits in the Eastern Conference semifinals for the 2021 Kelly Cup. It was a packed house at Farmers Coliseum. On social media last night, they had the caption, "This tomorrow." It will be the first night the arena could be at full capacity. We checked, and as of this morning, tickets are still available. The puck drops at 7:05 tonight. Fans can also enjoy a pregame party to help kick off the postseason. There'll be food, music, and a rally towel giveaway on the Coliseum Plaza. Festivities kick off at 5:30 this evening. And there's a growing trend of anti-trans legislation drawn up across the country, including here in Indiana. News 8's multicultural reporter Katira Winfrey explains how LGBTQ advocates are working to keep those bills from being passed.
When it comes to LGBTQ policy in Indiana, the state sits at the low end of the scale. That's according to data from the Movement Advancement Project.
It's been historically busy. Across the country, we've had over 100 bills attacking the rights of trans people filed in state legislatures around the country.
Kit Malone is an advocate and educator with the ACLU of Indiana. She says the path to justice and equality isn't always a direct line, and this is one of the low points.
People who are trans disproportionately experience poverty and isolation, and they've been sort of caught in the crosshairs of this war.
She and her team have taken added steps to track anti-LGBTQ legislation in the state and around the country. She says much of it targets trans youth. It's a difficult reality, but says if someone can be strong enough to step out as they are, facing this is nothing.
Once you overcome that, you've learned a lesson about yourself. And once you've pushed that forward, you've learned that maybe you can do anything.
In Indiana, a number of bills were filed but never made it to a hearing. She says support from local business partners helped, but also having a sustained presence in the State House, making a point to have legislators speak directly with trans people to help shape legislation.
I think that this is a long haul. I would never want to say that, we're never going to go back. I think that equality for trans people is the future. I think that is where we will go.
I'm Katira Winfrey, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
And Alzheimer's disease affects about 6 million Americans, roughly 30 million people around the world. Those figures are expected to double in about 30 years. As Brian Todd reports, there could finally be hope for some patients in the earliest stages of the disease.
A new drug to treat the early stages of Alzheimer's disease is being touted as a great hope by some experts and is met with skepticism by others. It's called aducanumab. It'll also go by the brand name Aduhelm. It's the first new medication approved for Alzheimer's in almost 2 decades.
The drug is an infusion. It's not a pill. The drug has to be infused in the vein, They go in once a month and take the treatment. And the goal of the drug is to slow down disease progression. Does it help with memory function? Maybe. But does it cure the disease? No. The goal of this drug is to slow progression towards dementia.
Alzheimer's expert Dr. Richard Isaacson stresses that for people who already have moderate or severe Alzheimer's or dementia, this new drug may not work. The FDA approved aducanumab under its accelerated approval program, which allows some drugs for serious, life-threatening illnesses to be used even if more research is needed. The approval was controversial because some in the medical community believed there wasn't enough evidence that aducanumab really works. As for the side effects,
the biggest risk of this drug is problems with swelling in the brain or even some small bleeding in the brain. One reassuring aspect is that when used carefully and when used with surveillance MRIs, brain scans to make sure that the side effects aren't happening, most people that do develop the side effects actually end up being okay.
This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
The News 8 Daily 8 is sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast on News 8 Daily 8 with Kylie Conway. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.